Hi everyone. Today is going to be showing you these two kits. Well, I think we're going to showcase just Glenda today, but we have these two Wicked kits that were found at Five Below, and it's got instructions, it's got the needles, it's got the yarn, everything that you need to create the character. So today, I'm going to start with Glenda. Alright, and then inside the kit, we have everything we need. Yarn, the stuffing, and of course the instructions. So this is everything that you need for the kit. Okay. This is the first time trying one of these kits, but it does give you a little instruction here on how to read the crochet pattern. So some of the abbreviations that you need to know when it comes to doing crochet kits. Like a cheat sheet, if you will. And then of course the other paper is the actual pattern to follow. So this is what we're going to be following to make Glenda. First step says to start with the feet and the legs and to make two of them, starting with the pink yarn. So I'm going to move everything else out of the way. Okay, so we have our pink yarn, and it says to start with a 6 single crochet and a magic ring. For a magic ring, this is how I find the easiest way to do it. For me, just wrap it here like this. Take the needle here, grab this up, and then you'll start crocheting. So that's your place marker there, that's not a stitch. But then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you'll have your 6 crochet in the magic ring. After you're done doing that, you pull this little tail here, the open end, and you make it a tight little circle. So you don't need these, but I suggest stitch markers for a pack like this. I have a couple from other kits in here too, but they're gonna help. They make it a little easier for you to see where you're at when you're working in rounds, because it's a continuous round, it keeps going around, and it's kind of nice to see where you start and where we end off. So we're going to use a stitch marker in the project. So step 2 of the instructions, it wants you to do an increase round, which means in each stitch, like so right here, each one of these little spaces, you're going to put 2 single crochets. So starting with the first one, oops, I'm going to go insert your hook, yarn over, pull that loop up, and then you'll yarn over and pull through. And that's 1 single crochet. So that's where you're going to put your stitch marker in, so you know that that's the first stitch that you started on. And in that same space right here is where you're going to put your hook in to grab up another loop, and then you're going to pull through again. And then you have your increase in the 1 space. We're going to do that all the way around the whole circle. So now we've made it all the way around. I did my increase rounds all the way. We're back at the front. The next step says that you're going to do 1 single crochet and 1 increase. So with that, you're going to take the stitch marker out in that same space. that's where you're going to start your stitch. So you do your 1 single crochet like we did. So that's your 1 single crochet. Throw your stitch marker back. And in that next space, so not here, we're going to go into this space right here. And that's when we're going to do the increase. So it's the 1 back into that same space and 2. So just to kind of show you, we go 1 single crochet, go to the next stitch, and we do 1 in that same stitch, 2. Next stitch is 1 single crochet, and the next one over we do 1 and 2. Oops, don't do that. We're going to continue that to the rest of the end of the circle. Okay, so now that I made it all the way around, I've got 18 single crochets all the way around. It's going to have us do a whole single round again of just single crochets. So it'll equal up to 18. We'll just make it a little bit bigger. So we start out here. Oops. Put a stitch marker in. And we'll just single crochet all the way around till we get to the end. Just like that. We'll catch up at the end. Okay, so now we've done our 18 around. What it does when you don't do an increase around the circle is it gives it this little like curve to it. So instead of it wanting to lay flat like it did when we do the increases, now it wants to curve at the edges. And that's what the single crochet around does. It does instead of increasing. We're now on step 5. It asks for 3 single crochet and 6 decreases, and then another 3 single crochet. So what that looks like, we're going to do our 3. So starting here where I took the stitch marker out, is 1, 2, 3. And for a decrease, the way that I was taught to do decreases is instead of going all the way through like this, we go through half of it. So you pull up that front loop there, but you're going to do it on the other one right here. So you're taking 2 front loops, grabbing up a thread, pulling it through, and then you're going to pull it through. And that's a decrease. So it takes 2 stitches and puts them together as 1. So now you have less. So you have to do a total of 3 of those. So the next one's going to be right here. Again, pull up 1/2 of that loop into the other one, half of that, pull up that thread and pull through. That's 2. The next one, half, pull your yarn up, and there's your 3. So then it's starting to kind of give it a little shape. You can see it there. And then 3 single crochets. So then we go into the next loop. Continue with your singles. 1, 2, and 3. So another decrease. This makes 4. 5. And for the last decrease, oops. And then you're going to finish up your round with your 3 single crochets. So you go right here, it's your 1, 2, and 3. Okay. The next round, step 6, says 4 single crochet, 2 decrease, and 4 single crochet. So we'll take this out of the way, and we'll do our 4 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Put my stitch marker back in. Okay, and then it wants you to do 2 decreases. So again, you go through half, pull up those 2 halves of those stitches. Ooh. There's 1. And there's your 2. And then you end the round with 4 single crochets. So your 1, your 2, 3, and 4. And it's kind of starting to take shape of like her foot. So I pull this out. See? We have a little bit of a foot going. Now that we completed row 6, the next round is going to be in the skin tone color, pardon me. And it's going to be working in the back loops. Back loops meaning instead of going through this here, instead of going through that front, it'll be going through this back portion right here. So not only are we working in a different color, working in the back loop, we're also slip stitching. So you're going to pull up this loop here, and instead of wrapping around like you would, you're actually pulling it through like this. And we're going to do that 10 times for this whole round. So I like to, when I'm changing colors, try to put this underneath to kind of hold it in place better. So we go under that back loop, put that right there, and then slip stitch. The other option too, so you can always tie them. They're going to be inside the piece, so you won't see the tie. It won't be that bad. But yeah, we're going to do this 10 times around, slip stitching for every stitch around, and then we'll see you back at the very end. Okay, so we did our 10 slip stitches all the way around. I did go ahead and cut the pink off because I tied it off inside, and this is what it's looking like. It's like the start of her leg. So for me, I'm going to go and tuck these in so they can stay out of the way. Here. There we go. And then for the next round, it's just another single crochet all across all the stitches all the way in the round, trying to build the leg. Now the instructions do say that when you're doing the slip stitch, because they do end up tighter than regular stitches, says not to tighten them as much. So I kept mine very loose so it doesn't taper the project. So then we go, it says to stay in your back loop, so not through the top, through the middle right here. So we're still doing back loop only, but this time we're doing single crochet. So that's 1 back loop only through there. and 2. See, again, not through here like the traditional stitch going through both. It's going to go through just this back loop, pull up the yarn, and crochet, single crochet. And you can do that all the way around until you get to 10 stitches. So I've done the 10 single crochets back loop only, and I've made it to all the way around. And it says for the next couple steps, it's going to be through for rows 9 through 12. We're just going to continue doing the 10 single crochets in around this piece. Okay. Sorry. Now that you completed the 10 rows around the, around here, it says to stuff it. So we just completed our 10 rows around. So now we have to stuff the foot. So you just take, for me, the way I do it, grab the stuffing here. I'll start to kind of push it in. I use my needle to help push it in, especially at the smaller space. If you have tweezers, that helps. Anything that helps to push the stuffing into the foot. Once you have it stuffed, it should be nice and solid. Don't overstuff it, just enough for it to fill it up and keep its shape. And then it says to make another one of these, just like this. So I finished off the second leg. This is the first one. I did add some more stitches, realizing that I only did half of the rows I was supposed to do. So I finished this one, and then I continued with this one and finished all the way to the top. So now it's time to connect them to start making the body. So it says we're going to do, for row 13, you make 9 single crochets across here. So we come in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It says that you want to be on the side of the leg. The pattern says to do 9 single crochets until it reaches the side of the leg. This is a little bit more on the front. See, this is the point of the toe. So I would probably bring it back to, just so that it's on the side of the foot. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to take out 2 of the stitches here, because this is more on the side of the actual piece. When we get to this point, now you're trying to connect these 2 legs together. So then you go and you'll chain 2 up right here. So there's 1 and 2. And then this is where it gets a little tricky. You have to connect these 2. So to connect them, you're trying to make from the chain 2, you chain 2, and you're going to connect it to this piece with a single crochet. Try to angle them so that the feet are kind of both facing the same direction. And you go up underneath the side stitch here. And then, trying to keep that out of the way, you'll do 1 single crochet. Just like that. There you go. So now they're connected. And as we go along, they're going to kind of sit properly like they should be. So now to continue, we're going to go 9 around. And with this little tail here, I just hold it under when I go to crochet. So we'll see how that works when I get to it. So we'll go into the next stitch, single crochet. And then for this one, it's the one next to it. So another single crochet, making 2. For this one, I try to hold it down a little bit because it's going to be this one right here. You're just going to crochet over that slip stitch for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. What I would do with this extra piece, at this point, this is where I would take this, maybe cut off some of the excess, or you can use it as part of your stuffing inside the leg, right in here. Try to fill in some of that space. I mean, you're going to fill it with polyfill anyways, so that's just going to kind of hide under there. Now for this part, you're going to do 2 crochets across that little chain that you use to connect the legs. Just kind of building up the middle piece, the middle of the piece. going to go in. It gets a little twisted. Just 1 and 2. And then from there, it just says to do 9 more until you get to the other side of the leg. So we made it around, and it kind of looks like this here. I'll move the needle so you can see a little better. So it's almost like a figure 8. That's that stuffed in part. So then we're going to continue around. Now, when we're working in around, it's going to be the whole round of both legs. And it says for us to do 5 single crochets in an increase, and you got to do that 4 times around. So by the end of it, you should have 28 stitches in total all the way around.